How's it going, everybody? My name is Josh and welcome back to the JB2 channel, the channel where we go through some significant life events and I try my best to help you through them. To get started, if you've already clicked on the video above, then you know exactly what we're going to talk about today: getting over an ex. To get started, let's kind of clear the room of everything right now. I'm sorry that you had to lose somebody that you cared about so much, and even though it's not in the sense of death, it is in a sense of loss. Sometimes losing a relationship can feel like death because the person that you thought you knew, you no longer see them as that same person anymore, or they no longer see you in that way anymore. There's a multitude of reasons why relationships can fail. For one, maybe you changed. Maybe the way that you used to do things is a little bit different. Two, maybe they changed. Or three, maybe it was a mutual parting between both of you because you just didn't see things working out the way that they used to. In which case, I want you guys to know change is not a bad thing. We're human beings. Even though we don't like change, change is something that happens consistently throughout our lifetime. If you were 5 years old and wanted to be a firefighter, I guarantee you, unless you are a firefighter now, in which case, thank you so much for all your service. When you're a kid, you want to be something crazy like a firefighter or a police officer or a football player or a king or be an astronaut.
Or a football playing king in space with a mustache.
But as you get older, your interests start to change. You start to like video game design, you want to get into finance, you want to get into insurance sales, you want to get into construction work, whatever it is that you want to do and you have a passion for. Hey, you know what? I bet it wasn't when you were 5 years old you thought you'd be doing what you're doing. Enough of the tangents, but from what I want you guys to know is that change happens. It's a part of life and it's something that we have to grow to accept. You changed just like they changed, and you know what you both wanted just ultimately didn't work. Of course, there's other things that can happen that can cause a relationship to fail, infidelity, things like that. Really heartbreaking stuff that I understand is very important. I mean, these things have happened to me too. So, getting to the main topic of the video, getting over an ex. Well, first thing that you got to do is you got to break yourself down. What parts of you have changed and what parts of you have stayed the same? What parts do you want to keep? What parts do you want to get rid of? You may be thinking to yourself, I know who I am. I haven't changed. I'm the same person. You know, they're the one that's crazy, things like that. Trust me, there are a lot of hoops that we jump through to please our partner. And all the things that we've done may not have been things that were healthy for us, and that's kind of led down a toxic path if that's what's happened to you. But at the end of the day, you got to reevaluate everything that's happened to you. The loss, you have to go through that grief. You also have to go through who you are as a person now. Kind of a key running thing that I say in a lot of my videos is to write it down. I mean, you don't have to if it's not something that benefits you, but if you're the type of person that likes to keep things physical, tangible, you want to be able to see it on a piece of paper so you know for sure that you have acknowledged that, go for it. Writing things down for me is something that helps me out a lot whenever I'm trying to go through things in my day-to-day life. And if it's a means that can help me, maybe it's a means that can help you too. Check it out.
Check it out!
Kind of touching back on what I said before, now that you've known who you are and the parts that you want to keep and you want to change, you just have to make kind of that action plan. In a previous video that I did, with everything that we wrote down, we made an action plan on how to get through those events and how to get better from them. The same thing applies to this concept here. It is a way that you can benefit yourself in understanding what it is that you need to do to get through that, or to get through that portion of your life. Not only do you need to figure out who you are as a person, but you need to be able to figure out what it is that's causing you the most pain. People will hold on to the issues that never got resolved in the relationship and unfortunately become the issues personified. Who here has run into that friend that always talks about their ex, even though it's been months, years down the line, and anytime they bring them up, they're always the, well, that person's crazy, that person hurt me, I can't believe it. If you're looking to your left and right and you don't have a friend like that, you may be that friend. But if you know what I'm talking about, sometimes it can get old hearing about the crazy ex. The goal of a relationship ending is new beginnings. It should always be new beginnings. Even though we wish we could be what we wanted to be for the person that we were with, we can't stick in our old ways of wondering what could have been. You have to cut ties and understand that that person didn't want you, you didn't want that person, or it's just a two-party system saying, hey, we're better off with other people. Just work on you and be the best person that you can be. And I promise you, all the things that you do to internalize everything that you need to internalize and carry with you, the next person that's going to catch your eye is really going to appreciate all the hard work that you put in. Don't ask me why, but whenever I talk about my maturity process throughout this whole thing, I've been told that having a good amount of time in between relationships to really reevaluate and heal is attractive. If you happen to find love shortly after you get out of a relationship and it works out, awesome. But I understand that healing takes a little bit longer than a couple months, especially if you were very invested in the person that you were with. So don't be afraid to take time and really dedicate yourself to understanding who you are in your healing process. So you've looked at the things you want to keep, you've looked at the things you want to get rid of, and you've culminated everything as far as what's hurt you internally from the relationship ending. Now what do? Well, you kind of got to start dating yourself now. You have to get used to the person that you are now, and the best way to do that is to do things for yourself. All the things that you didn't have time to do back then, you can definitely do now. Just kind of some weird examples. Play those video games you always wanted to play. Go to the gym as much as you want to go to the gym. Take care of yourself. I don't just mean emotionally and mentally, but also physically too. You'd be surprised how much going out for a walk or getting a membership at a gym can change your life, even if it's just going for a few minutes a day. I'm not saying you have to be like those guys that have shredded 8-pack abs, can bench press 300 pounds and all that. If you are that person, awesome. I honestly wish I was you. Your body is a part of you, not just your emotions and your thoughts and your feelings and the mentality behind it, but your body needs help too. Ways to stay active, of course, number one, the gym. If you ever want to check that out, you're more than welcome to. There's a lot of places that if it's your first time going to a gym, they will have no problem taking care of you. 2, find a hobby. Maybe you want to ride bikes. Maybe you want to skateboard. Maybe you want to start rollerblading. Maybe you want to be the guy that rides their bike with the weird spandex in the middle of the road, almost get ran over, and then get pissed off at the driver. Hey, to each their own. It is 2021. You do you. As long as you're not the person calling to tell me that my vehicle warranty has expired, I think we can be friends. But anyway, once you found your hobby and you got all those other things nailed down, doing that thing over and over again is going to be able to build yourself an identity, something that you can connect to. And it may seem like just a hobby or here and there, but you're establishing a foundation for happiness and something that you can really work towards. Who knows? I mean, you might even make friends doing this stuff. The important thing is to not get locked up in your room. If you find yourself stuck in bed every day watching the same shows over and over again, the person can only watch The Office so many times before they actually have to get out of bed and do something. I sound like I'm speaking from experience. Don't get me wrong, you're gonna have your lay in bed days. That's part of the grieving process. I understand that, but don't get stuck there, because that's when depression starts setting in and you start thinking to yourself, what's the point of doing anything? The point is, you gotta pull yourself out of this funk, and you gotta put yourself in a position where you're ultimately happier. And laying on your mattress for 18 hours a day and then going to sleep and waking up and doing it again because of a relationship ending is not the best thing for you, sorry to say. Ultimately, everything that we've talked about in the video regarding finding who you are now, finding all those emotional things that tear you up on the inside, and then after doing that, finding your hobby, finding what you love to do, taking care of your physical body as well as your mental and emotional, that's kind of the building blocks to everything. Once you do that, you start to notice that you can smile a little bit more. It's not as hard to get out of bed anymore. You start realizing you are your own person. You have your own identity. Because the thing about relationships is people kind of get caught up in the idea of two people being one single whole identity. The way that it needs to be is two people that are working together and both care about each other, going through life and supporting each other in their endeavors, but still maintaining their identity. At least in my opinion. If you agree, drop it down in the comments. If you don't, tell me why you don't. I'd like to hear your input. But lastly, with everything that we said prior, that's the main building blocks of getting better. But one major thing that I want to make sure you guys know is you have to respect yourself. Don't catch yourself looking at your ex's IG profile, their Snapchat stories, reading old text messages, because what you're doing is you're romanticizing the past. There's a reason why things didn't work out the way that you wanted them to. And again, change is exciting. You could be with somebody that's a million times better. You don't know that now. Of course, you're too focused on what you lost to focus on what you can gain. But you got to shift your mind to a glass half full mentality, because you're on your own right now. Just putting it bluntly, you're going to be the only person responsible for your happiness. I would take that as a positive. I don't have to do all those things that I used to do to make somebody happy. And I didn't have to be in a toxic environment to where my heart's hurting every day. You know, I'm kind of speaking about personal experience, but personal experience can kind of correlate to everyone that may be watching the video. So again, just to cover all my bases, to make sure that we're all square. Number one, you got to make a list of what you want to keep, what you want to get rid of in terms of who you are now that the relationship is over. And you want to identify those key pieces that are hurting you, whether it be what they did, how it's affected you, what you did. You got to write those things down. You got to be aware of them. And then you got to start reverse engineering them, so that way you don't become the person that's the crazy ex guy. Or crazy ex person, excuse me. The second thing, you got to take care of yourself. Mental and emotional are very important, but your body is also a part of you as well. Find a hobby, find a gym, find something that keeps your body moving, and I promise you're going to start feeling a lot better whenever you wake up in the morning and whenever you go to bed at night. And lastly, respect yourself. This is the most important one. Don't catch yourself looking back at the past and romanticizing it, thinking, man, if only I had done things different. You won't get anywhere going forward if you're too busy looking behind you. That's pretty much all that I have for today's video. It feels so good to be back and recording again. If you've made it this far into the video, drop in the comment box what you liked, what you didn't, and then also maybe share a little bit of your experiences. I know the community that I want to create is ones that help each other. So if you see somebody and you see what they're going through, maybe lift them up a little bit. Anyway, thanks so much again for checking me out. Have a good one. Tell somebody you love them. Give somebody a hug. Whatever it is you got to do. Let somebody know that they're special to you. Have a good one, guys. Peace.